Hi guys, I'm awake in this self-isolating period and working on my projects, and I use half of the time to do videos for you because I am thinking of people out there who are just dying and who are just in vulnerable situation, and I find it so difficult to sleep knowing that there are people who need help there and should have gotten help if we do the right thing. Now, what got me thinking? Uh, I heard about aids that were given to Africa and Nigeria, thousands of face masks and hand sanitizers and test tubes to the hospitals. I want to tell you that Nigeria does not need your aids. I want to tell you that Africa does not need your aids. Do you actually listen to African news? Nigeria, to be precise. If you don't, I encourage you to tune into Arise News or Channel 24 or even TVC News, and you will see the tons of politicians, the amount of governors who have absconded with the state's money in billions of dollars that are currently under investigation, sorry. And you will notice that Nigeria has such a lot of money and they do not need your bloody aids. I don't know what your intentions are, but Nigeria does not need your aid. Africa does not need your aid. They need your trade and your collaboration and not your bloody aids. Stop giving Africa aids because it's bloody annoying me. But now let me come back to the main point. Now, I live in Ireland where every human being can afford to buy pregnancy test tool, and every human being can afford to buy tools for blood pressure. And I'm wondering, why is it in Nigeria people cannot have tools to test for malaria? Malaria kill people in Africa, and the news media carries it and said, "Oh, malaria is a very deadly disease that kill people in Africa." Malaria does not really have to kill people in Africa. It's killing people because number one, people do not have test tools to test if they have malaria. So sometimes they take the wrong medication and they die. It's not as if malaria is as deadly as the media portray. Malaria is just like flu in the Western country. Instead of giving Nigeria AIDS, why not produce test tools that every Nigerian can afford to buy and see if they have malaria or not? Okay, now malaria aside, let me come back to COVID-19. Why did all these companies? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Because this is what I'm thinking. Why did all these companies, the multinational companies, pharmaceutical companies, are producing millions of sanitizers, face masks, and distributing people instead of producing test tools for people to test for this COVID-19 and see if they have the virus or not? I bet you in few time everybody in Ireland or in Western country can afford to have access to test tool to see if they have this venereal disease, but people in Africa won't. My point, why don't we just do the right thing? All the money we invested in producing tons of hand sanitizers and face masks and whatnot to cover ourselves from having this disease, and yet millions of people are dying. Why didn't we invest it in producing test tools that will help people test if they have this virus or not? Because you know what I'm thinking? We could have stopped this disease if we wanted to, because number one, we could have closed all the borders, and number two, we could have produced test tools. I know it will take time, but we can't even want to. That reminds me of one time my daughter said, "Ah, mommy, how can you say you don't have money when you can actually go to the cash machine and put in your card and get cash? There's no time you go to the cash machine and put your card and cash doesn't come out." Oh yeah, that's a child thinking, right? But the child is right. Each time I go to the cash machine and put card, I actually want to get money out. And the reason is because I have already saved my money there. So if I put my money in the bank, I go to the cash machine and put my card and bring my money out. Now look, If we have decided to do the responsible and right thing, we will get good results. If we had invested in producing test tools for people to test this to see if they have this virus or not, number one, we won't have it spread so wide. Number two, if we had wanted to actually stop this virus from going global, we would have closed all the borders. The initial state, in 2 weeks, it would have stopped. Are we trying to make money or are we trying to save life? Two different things. If we're trying to save money, then we'll come up with all the polished words and then do what is not actually necessary. But if we want to save life, we'll do the necessary things because I believe one, if we have shorter the borders, and two, if we have produced test tools, this virus will not spread as widely as it has spread. Let's do the responsible things and let's save lives. And here again, let me remind you, stop giving aids to Africa. They do not need it. Especially Nigeria. They do not need your aids. They need your trade. And for now, like I said, we're not talking about trade. Produce test tools that people can afford. Nigeria has a very good system where actually the people, the citizens can just walk into the chemist shop or pharmacy and just buy medication that they need without prescription. So if they produce test tools for malaria, for COVID-19, for Ebola, for whatever sickness, people will survive. That is doing the right thing, not necessarily economical thing. So maybe this disease will get us thinking again to do the right thing, so that when you put your card in the cash machine, you will get what you have actually saved. Thank you and stay safe.